periods. Also tender breasts, fibroids in the uterus, endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, cysts on the ovaries, premenstrual tension, depression, thyroid problems. Whew, it's a big lot. Also breast cancer, cervical cancer. These are all some of the symptoms of a hormonal imbalance. What about a male? Well, some of the symptoms that a male could have is low sperm count, also inability to hold an erection, prostate problems, but also too much of the female hormone can cause a man to be effeminate, and too much of the male hormone can cause a woman to be masculine. I'm not talking about the moral issues here. I'm just giving you the basic science, the basic physiology. You see, there is a reason for this. Also miscarriages. And we meet lots of ladies who've had miscarriages. This can all be caused by a hormonal imbalance. Proverbs 14 verse 6 says, knowledge is easy to him that understands. I want to give you an understanding of the hormones, of how they work within the human body. Then you will begin to understand why these are some of the symptoms. Notice that our sex hormones are made from cholesterol. Cholesterol is a very important lipid in the body. And if the cholesterol levels go too low, that can affect the production of the hormones. So what would be a normal level of cholesterol? Anywhere between 5.5 and 7.5. Now, most people are shocked at that because most people are told that you should be under 4 or under 3. Do you know if the cholesterol levels go that low, you're going to start having hormone problems, and the brain's not going to be very happy because it loves cholesterol, and cholesterol is needed to protect the brain cells. From cholesterol, the body makes pregnenolone, and from pregnenolone, the body makes progesterone. Progesterone is the key hormone because progesterone, sometimes called the mother or the queen of hormones, because progesterone basically under it is estrogen, testosterone, and the adrenal hormones. So this is called the lady hormone. This is called the man hormone. And this basically is your fight and flight, your stress hormones. So I'm going to explain the working of the hormones today. I'm going to explain it like a dance because different players come onto the stage at different times of the month. Progesterone is going to be wearing a green outfit in the dance of the hormones. And progesterone, one of its roles is that of happy hormone. And I don't know whether, I think you have it in the UK because a lot of our Australian sayings are the same as yours. Happy wife, happy life. A lot of ladies don't like that saying, but the fact is that if the lady of the home is happy, it certainly affects everything that functions in the home. And one of the reasons there are some unhappy homes is because the lady is lacking progesterone. We'll look at why that would be in a minute. The other hormone that plays a role in this monthly dance is estrogen. And estrogen's role in the human body is that of a cell proliferator. Cell proliferator basically causes massive cell growth. And it's estrogen that causes the skinny young girl to develop into a beautiful, shapely woman. But if estrogen remains high, the beautiful, shapely woman can get out of shape the other way. So let's have a look at this monthly dance. It's a 28-day cycle. So we have day 1 to day 28. In the middle, we have 14, 21, and 7. The first week of this month is the day that a woman begins to menstruate. So that's day 1 of the monthly cycle. And on day 1 of the monthly cycle, progesterone levels are low. So we can say that progesterone's backstage in that week. Day 1 of the monthly cycle, estrogen levels are also low. But by day 7, estrogen levels are rising. Now estrogen becomes the star player in the dance of the hormones. Let's go to the stage where the dance is played out, which is the reproductive organs of a woman's body. This is the uterus, they're the fallopian tubes, they're the ovaries, cervix, birth canal. So at this time of the month, going into the second week, with the rise in estrogen, rise in cell proliferator action, massive cell growth is happening in the lining of the uterus, causing the blood nest to once again develop. Because remember, in day one, the blood nest came away. Estrogen is also causing massive cell growth in the ovaries, causing eggs to develop. They're already begun to develop, but basically coming to fruition. Estrogen is also causing a form of lubricant to be released in the birth canal. Around day 14, a fully developed egg bursts forth from the ovaries. And the little filaments on the end of the fallopian tube pull up the egg into the fallopian tubes. And the fallopian tubes are ever moving like this, causing the egg to go up, up, up. Now, the hole where the egg bursts forth develops a blister, and that blister is called corpus luteum. I have written it in green because corpus luteum, this little blister, is the main site of progesterone production in a woman's body. Can you see the importance of a woman ovulating every month? Because when she ovulates, corpus luteum is made. And when corpus luteum develops every month, that helps to maintain progesterone, which is very important for the control of the others and also for the mood booster. And so a little bit after day 14, there's no need for estrogen anymore. So estrogen gets the message, it can go now go backstage. But with the development of corpus luteum around day 14, we now get a rise in progesterone. So coming into the third week, we get this rise in progesterone. So what effect does that have? Progesterone has a ripening effect on the lining of the uterus, putting the finishing touches on the uterus. I liken progesterone to the plasterers and the painters, putting the finishing touch on. Progesterone also heightens a woman's mood at this time of the month, being happy hormone, even to the point of increasing her sexual desire in this third week. But progesterone has another effect, and that is on the cervix. Let me magnify the cervix and show you. The cervix usually looks like this. Actually, from the top down, it looks like a little cushion with a button in the middle. And from sideways, it looks like this. We've got these two cushiony little lips here and the mucus plug. So under the action of this rise in progesterone, the mucus plug goes, the lips come up a little tighter, and a special form of lubricant is released around the cervix. And this lubricant is designed specifically to facilitate the entry of sperm up into the uterus. So you can see that stage is set for the entry of man. Did you know that between 200 and 500 million sperm are released with one ejaculation? That's incredible. The sperm cell is the smallest cell in the human body. You can see why God made it that way, because sometimes up to half come straight back out. If the sperm meet this cervix, basically it's very difficult to gain entry, but they're so small that a couple will. But if the sperm meet this cervix here, that lubricant literally grabs that sperm and shoots it up into the uterus, and it's got a long journey. Some of them go down the wrong road and they die and get absorbed back into the body. Some of them go down the right road and aha, here's their prize, is the egg. I saw a photograph one day at a seminar of about 15 sperm all trying to gain entry into one egg, but only one can most of the time. So the covering of the egg looks like this. And what the sperm has to do, it has to nudge its way into one of those little joins. It's not easy. Once a sperm gets into there, then immediately these other joins shut tight to prevent any other sperm getting in, and they release a chemical that will kill any other sperm that try and get in. Isn't it incredible what they know about the human body today? Occasionally, not often, occasionally at the same split second, 2 sperm might gain entry, and that's when the twins share the placenta. What happens with conception? What happens with conception is progesterone levels soar 200%. That's quite incredible, isn't it? No wonder we say when a woman's pregnant, she's just blossoming. If a woman said, I didn't feel that good in pregnancy, maybe it's because she lacks progesterone, and we'll be looking at why that would be so. But if there's no conception, by day 26, progesterone levels are dropping down, and by day 26, the estrogen drops right down. And when both of those levels drop, the blood supply to the uterus is cut, and then the blood nest comes away, and we are once again at day 1 of the monthly cycle. That's what it should look like. Unfortunately, not many today. So why would that be? Proverbs 26 verse 2 states that the curse causeless shall not come. There is a reason. So let's have a look at the reasons why. Number 1, this started in 1957. The first contraceptive pill was introduced to women. Women wanted to be able to have sex without falling pregnant, and so the contraceptive pill was introduced. What is the contraceptive pill? The pharmaceutical companies grow acres and acres of Mexican wild yam. This Mexican wild yam contains a plant chemical called diosgenin, and diosgenin in a laboratory can be converted to progesterone. Now, the pharmaceutical company cannot make money out of progesterone because they cannot patent it. The only thing they can patent is something new. So they add a few more atoms in one area and come up with a synthetic estrogen. They add a few more atoms in another area and come up with a synthetic estrogen. Sorry, that's synthetic estrogen, synthetic progesterone. You see, in the early 1990s, it was acknowledged that estrogen was a known human carcinogen, and the pill used to be just estrogen, so they had to change it. So now the pill is a combination of synthetic estrogen and synthetic progesterones called progestin or progestone. Has that fixed everything? No, not at all, because now this synthetic progesterone blocks the receptor sites to inhibit your progesterone. So it really hasn't helped. So I want to show you what happens week after week, after month, after year on the pill. So remember, your number 1 hormone should be progesterone and estrogen underneath. So month after month on the pill, how does the pill work? So it actually stops the woman ovulating. So month after month on the pill, no ovulation, no corpus luteum. So what's happening to progesterone? It's dropping. Month after month on the pill with its synthetic estrogen, estrogen now is rising. And now we have a problem, sadly too common today. It's called estrogen dominance, progesterone deficiency. I liken estrogen to fire and water, good slave, bad master. So what we've got now, sadly too common, is estrogen up here, and where's progesterone? It's down here. And let's have a look at this woman. She's been on the pill for 7 years, then she had her babies, and now she's going through menopause. What's happening? She's getting hot flushes. You see, estrogen causes capillary dilation, causing all the blood to rush to the skin. And the husband knows it because all the blankets get thrown off in the middle of the night, and then they get pulled back on again a little bit later. And I had one lady say to me, I'm a CEO of a big company. I'm in a board meeting. I'm chairing the meeting, and then I get a hot flush. She said, I start perspiring, I start flushing. She said, it's so uncomfortable. So she went to the doctor, and he put her on hormone replacement therapy. And she was very happy with the hormone replacement therapy because it stopped the flushes. Why does it stop the flushes? Because now the body thinks it's pregnant again. And so it stops putting its energies to the skin and puts its energy into the internal organs. 6 years later, she feels a lump on her breast. She goes to the doctor. She has breast cancer. The doctor takes her off hormone replacement therapy immediately. Why? He knows it's a contributing factor in breast cancer. That's why the 16-year study on hormone replacement therapy in the year 2000 was stopped abruptly after 8 years because women were dying on the study. Whew. And the Cancer Foundation have stated estrogen is a known human carcinogenic because it's a cell proliferator. It just will feed cancer if cancer's there. And by the way, the high estrogen opposes thyroid function. One writer in Australia, her name's Elaine Hollingsworth, she claims that the pill is the mass murder of millions of women. Ooh, strong words. So let's have a look at the woman who was on the pill when she was in her 20s. Now she's 50, 60. She's having hot flushes, weight gain, no desire for sex. And when she has sex, it's very painful. She's depressed. Can you see the results? And let's look at her daughters. Her daughter's only 38 and she's got breast cancer. Her younger daughter's got endometriosis. Her son, well, he's trying to get his wife pregnant and he finds out he's low sperm count. Can you see that the mother being on the pill, it affected the genes and now it affects the next generation? Whew. Some women have been through this, but they've never been on the pill. There's more. What causes a chicken to be fully developed in 5 weeks? It's growth stimulants. So it's against the law to give chickens growth stimulants now. So they genetically modify them to make more estrogen so they grow quickly so they can get them to market. And when the person eats that chicken or eats that egg, guess what? They're getting those growth stimulants. It's against the law in Australia for cattle farmers to give the cattle growth stimulants. But I had a cattle farmer's wife do our program, and she said they knock on our door every month pushing the growth stimulants, and they tell us when to stop the growth stimulants so it's not picked up in the blood test at the abattoirs. Ooh. Lentils are sounding more attractive all the time, aren't they? So it's in the meat, it's in the products. What about fish? Well, some fish farms, they're given growth stimulants. Well, what about the fish in the sea? Well, when you've got 80% of women on the pill or HRT and the sewage is going out to sea and the fish are feeding on the sewage, so you get this vicious cycle. I've met some people never been on the pill and they're vegetarians. So why do they have a hormonal imbalance? Plastics. When I was 16, my elder brother was 18 and he had his first car. It was a Zephyr secondhand car and the dashboard was cracked. Now those from my era, do you remember when dashboards cracked? Dashboards don't crack anymore. So my brother just put turquoise fur on it and a cow that's head went up and down. That's very 60s, isn't it? Why don't dashboards crack anymore? It's because they have a chemical in them which is called nonylphenol, and that nonylphenol keeps the plastic soft. But estrogen in its molecular structure has a phenyl ring. And so nonylphenol and bisphenol A, they both have this phenyl ring. So that's why the plastics have an estrogenic effect on the body. And ladies, be very careful on your underwear. That must be made out of natural fiber. 3 plastic fabrics are polyester, acrylic, and nylon. Most people leave these meetings, run home and start reading their labels. And when we get hot and our pores open, we're absorbing the chemicals from those fabrics. And be careful what you wash your clothes in. It's virtually impossible to get all the washing detergent out of the clothes. So chemicals can have an effect, and the chemical that has the most effect is Roundup or glyphosate. The Sri Lankan government have banned glyphosate. I hope I've got the spelling right, glyphosate, something like that. Because too many rice farmers and their children were getting sick. The rice farmers were dying of hormonal pancreatic cancers because of their exposure to Roundup or glyphosate. So please, organic foods. For some people, it's a little bit of all that. For some people, it's just one or the other. But now the million-dollar question is, how can we balance the hormones? Number one, first step is to eliminate. If you don't turn the tap off, you're still going to be mopping up in the other corner. Stop the pill, stop HRT. Well, how are we going to stop having babies popping up everywhere? Sex is two-part, contraception should be two-part. So the woman's role, I believe, is to know when she's ovulating. So her body will give her 3 signs. The first sign is her temperature changes. So over the month, her temperature will go like that. Then it'll drop and go up onto a higher plane. That drop and up onto a higher plane is a sign that she has begun to ovulate, and it will happen around day 14. That's sign number 1. So she takes her temperature before she gets out of bed every morning and she charts it. Her second sign is that her vaginal mucus will change. When the estrogen's high, it's more thick and white. When progesterone's high, it's more clear and stringy. So she tests it every day and charts it. The third sign is that her cervix changes. So it's as simple as her testing that every day. At first, she's got nothing to compare it to, but as the days, weeks, and months go by, she starts to see the changes, and she will find that she ovulates most of the time within this month, but using those 3 signs allows her to define it. So this week, when she is fertile, that's when the husband uses something like he masters the art of withdrawal or uses a condom at that time. So she does. So the wife says, I'm safe, I am not safe, I am safe. My daughter Jessica and her husband Matthew, they were married for nearly 4 years before baby Amethyst came. How nice for a young couple to have a few years together before the little darlings come. So that's where you can eliminate the pill. Everything you'll learn today will show you how you can eliminate HRT. If you want to eat meat and its products, it must be organic. Personally, I choose to eat a plant-based diet. Eliminate the plastic as much as possible. It's very handy stuff, but you can get BPA-free plastic because freezing stuff, and you can also get biodegradable plastic now that's made out of starch. So it's just a matter of sourcing that out. And go organic as much as possible. The more Londoners that buy organic, the more organic will appear. It's just demand and supply, isn't it? It is a little bit more expensive, but it is worth every cent. 1 organic tomato will give you 9 times the iron compared to a conventionally grown tomato. So when you understand the differences there, it is certainly worth it. So turn the tap off. Number 2, your liver has the ability to detoxify you from excess estrogen. So you can see the problem's excess estrogen. And it'll send it down the elimination pathway when it is stimulated by taking cabbage. So the cabbage family contain a plant chemical called indoles, and indoles stimulate the pathway in the liver to release excess estrogen. Also linseed or flaxseed. So grind up flaxseed every morning on your breakfast. Vitamin B. Vitamin B6, 9, and 12 are the 3 B vitamins that stimulate the pathway that releases excess estrogen. And the third point in balancing the hormones is applying a cream called the Anna's Wild Yam Cream. The Anna's Wild Yam Cream contains the plant chemical diosgenin. And when that cream is applied to the skin, the fat cells take it up and it stimulates the pathway that your body uses to make more progesterone. So when this cream is applied, little by little, it gets the progesterone up, which automatically brings estrogen, testosterone, the adrenal back in the proportion that they should be. So the Anna's Wild Yam Cream is applied twice a day. 1 finger dip, inside of arms 1 time, chest another time, abdomen another time, inside of thighs another another time, and it's applied for the 3 weeks of the month where there is no menstruation. If a woman is not menstruating anymore, maybe she's in her 50s, 60s, 70s, she just chooses 1 week of the month where she does not apply the cream. Some women find the first week of the month or the last week of the month the easiest to remember. I met a 9-year-old girl who was on the yam cream because she'd started developing breasts at 8 and was menstruating at 9. I met a 92-year-old lady who was on the yam cream for her osteoporosis. Progesterone boosts osteoblast cells. They're your bone building cells. Estrogen boosts osteoclast cells. The osteoclast cells are the cells that take away the old bone, and the progesterone replaces it with the new bone, with the osteoblast cells. So you can see that high estrogen and low progesterone can be a contributing factor to osteoporosis, which we're going to look at in our next presentation. And so if you're between 9 and 90, it can work for you. It's quite expensive ordering it from Australia, but I've got some good news. Louise has ordered some, and I think it's coming next week. 1 jar will last about 3 months. Mostly women need to be on the cream for a year. The key is consistency, little by little by little. It gets that progesterone up, happy hormone, and automatically balances these. I've also seen people, especially ladies, come off their antidepressants by using this cream and getting their progesterone up. Now, the next point is the 8 laws of health. The 8 laws of health are the foundation for healing. We looked at that yesterday morning. There's fresh air, sunshine, not taking any stimulants in. The sugar and the caffeines are very good at imbalancing the hormones. Alcohol. The next law is sleep, go to bed early, exercise, a plant-based diet, keep well hydrated, trust in divine power, assesses all your stress levels. There's your foundation. So when they're implemented and the Anna's cream is applied, we find that women and men are getting their balance back. How does the man apply the Anna's wild yam cream? He applies it twice a day, but he doesn't have a break because men are not cyclic like women are. Well, I'll give you a story of one man who came to our retreat. He was 65. He had prostate cancer. He was having a 3-monthly injection to try and get his testosterone levels down because they were too high. And he'd developed breasts and he was getting hot flushes. So he heard the lectures. He made a decision to stop his daily coffee, stop his nightly red wine, get the sugar levels down, go on a plant-based diet, start exercising, drinking more water, and applying the yam cream. And with those changes, he decided not to have the 3-monthly injection anymore. His wife emailed me 10 months later. She said the breasts have gone down, he's not getting hot flushes anymore, and his testosterone levels are the best they've been for years. What I love about this cream is it works with the body. Now, if God designed the body to heal itself, and we certainly know he did, doesn't it make the most sense to just work with the healing powers of the body to allow the body to do what it was designed to do? Unfortunately, many today are unaware of all of the conditions required for the healing, and they're encapsulated really in those 8 laws of health. Now, before we close, I just want to cover one more point. I want to go back to the menopausal woman. The menopausal woman who has weight gain, getting the estrogen down will certainly help that. It's almost impossible to lose weight when estrogen levels are high. She has no desire for sex. The yam cream boosting progesterone can certainly help with that. She's depressed. Boosting progesterone, happy hormone, it will certainly help in that area. But what about the fact that sex is very painful for her? She has no lubricant and the cells that line the vagina have become very tender. Well, there's something that's coming on it's becoming very popular that is helping in this area. It's called yoni stones. And these stones were developed in the Chinese dynasty to help the young concubines become sexually active for the emperor. So let me explain what they are and what you do with them. So I'm going to draw the actual size of them. So these stones are made out of a marble called nephrite jade. And that would be the largest stone. This would be the middle-sized stone, and this would be the smallest stone. And they have two little holes at the bottom, and dental floss can be inserted there. And the largest stone is inserted until it hits the cervix like that. A woman would not even feel that it is there. And she wears it for 1 hour a day for the first week, 2 hours a day for the second week, 3 hours a day for the third week, 4 hours a day for the fourth week. By the fifth week, she's wearing it 5 hours a day. And she wears it 5 hours a day for about 6 months. By then, her pelvic girdle is strong. You see, it's strengthening the pelvic girdle from the inside. She can now go over to the second stone. And one lady in her 50s told me that when she'd gone over to the second stone, her 33-year-old daughter said, "Mum, can I have a go of the bigger stone?" Because the daughters had a bit of problem with childbirth and she needed to strengthen her pelvic girdle internally. See, what happens is the muscles work to hold that stone there. And because the muscles are actively holding that stone, it increases blood supply. And when you increase blood supply, you increase nutrients, you increase oxygen, you increase water to the area. And what several ladies have told me is that the lubricant returned. Because blood supply is increased to the area, the glands that produce the lubricant are revived. And also the cells that line the birth canal, they're not as delicate, not as tender because of the increase in blood supply to the area. Leviticus 17:11 says the life of the flesh is in the blood. So strengthening the pelvic girdle internally is basically just bringing more blood to the area. I had a couple come to me, they were both in their late 50s, and they said, "We're a little bit embarrassed to tell you this, but we just want to thank you." The man said, "This cream just puts lead in my pencil." He said, "I'm performing better than I was. Not like I was when I was 20, but things have improved." And the wife said, "And I just want to tell you that sex is no longer painful for me," because she'd been wearing the stones. Only in 4 months, she found that there was a change. So you can see why that's helping. I'll give you the story of my daughter, Emma, who had twins 18 years ago now, and they were both about 6 pounds, and she's only an inch taller than me. So that's a lot for a little lady to carry. She had them both naturally, but whenever she coughed or laughed, she'd lose a little urine. And she just thought, "I have to put up with this because I carried twins." And she decided to try the yoni stones. Within 3 months, she could cough, she could laugh, and she would not lose any urine. See, what it did was it strengthened the pelvic girdle from the inside, which also strengthened the muscles around the urethra, because it's all part of the pelvic girdle. I've also known women with prolapses to heal them from wearing the yoni stones, because it's just muscle. You see, we're constantly defying gravity. Gravity's constantly pulling us down, and strength comes by defying gravity. And so strengthening those muscles internally helps to pull up that prolapse. See, a prolapse is when the uterus drops right down to the mouth of the vagina or birth canal, incredibly uncomfortable for a woman. And so the option a woman is usually given is the doctor can sew it up with a mesh. But the problem is, and I've met many women, that it actually hasn't worked. And so the next option is the whole uterus is taken out. And I've had ladies that's happened to, and then they came to this meeting and they said, "If only we'd known." If only we'd known. It's just building up the muscles. Another illustration of this amazing body we live in and its inbuilt ability to heal itself when it's given the right conditions. So I'm going to have a break now. It's 5 to 12. If we can come back at 5 past 12, I'm going to give a presentation on osteoporosis, building stronger bones. And I'm also going to bring in some of the information that we've looked at today. So please have a break, have a breath of fresh air and a drink, and we'll come back at 5 past 12 in 10 minutes.